wondering, first and foremost, why did the auditor's report fail to capture this aspect of it? Fail to capture the double salary? How come that it eluded the Auditor General's Department, that they failed to capture in an auditor's report that members of Parliament who double as cabinet ministers were taking double salary? And again, when the issue came up, it was here and they put out there in the public domain for the public discourse to take over, before even the real affected people were invited to the CID office. It came with a lot of challenges. The issue that stands now is that it's being investigated. Members of the previous government, for which I belong to, have been called. A number of them have gone to give their statements to the CID. Statements have been taken for further perusal of the issue. You see, I was asking myself, couldn't this thing have been handled in a better way? Your senior public servants are accused of or alleged to have taken double salary. Then you first of all put it out there through a sitting member of Parliament. Then it gradually comes down to the media, then to the police taking over. I think there was a better way of handling this issue. But you see, because of the fact that this government came on the platform that corruption became a major issue of campaign, and they would expose members of the previous government for alleged corrupt practice, for which all of us agree. I've said it on this platform a number of occasions that if you are appointed as a public officer, you go squandering public resources and monies, and you are caught by the laws of that state, the law should deal with you and deal with you to the letter. There should not be any shielding of any corrupt public official, because all of us are affected by corruption and so on. And for me, I think that it raises issues more than just a double salary. As we talk today, current sitting members of Parliament who have been appointed, 70 of them who have been appointed as members of the current cabinet, there are 70 members of Parliament who are ministers and deputy ministers, and they took rent allowances up to 90,000. And when they were appointed as ministers, they were again given bungalows. Did they return? It's a case of double payment there. Does it also constitute criminal offense? And would the CID invite them for dishonestly receiving? Again,
that's one instance.
Yes. We are now looking at the whole thing holistically. If we want to stop the issue, again, who determined the cutoff point? That it should be the members who were ministers at the Mahama regime that should face this. Are we looking at the holistic issue from the days of Rawlings through President Kufuor, to President Mills, and then to Mahama? Are we really tackling the issue holistically so that it will not raise its ugly head, or we are doing this thing for political reasons and expediency?
So I want to find out, under what circumstances can someone be paid double salary?
I am coming there.
Yes.
And the explanation has been given that any time you are a member of Parliament, you are appointed as a cabinet minister.
Or a minister.
The issue is that the differences are added onto your salary. For instance, if you are a minister, if you are a member of Parliament, you are taking 10,000, and then you become a minister, and then you are taking 12,000, and then the striker difference will obviously be 2,000. That is added onto your, what do you call it, onto your parliamentary salary. You don't receive double salary, one as a minister and two as an MP.
Someone tells me you elect to either take salary as a minister or a member of Parliament.
Yes. You decide whether you want to remain with the executive or with the parliamentary service.
So in this instance, for those who have been invited, in what category would we put them? Whether those who they agree that the differences should be struck and added to their salaries as members of Parliament, or they elected to go on the other side, but then they had one foot at the other side.
That is the confusion. That is exactly the confusion. Are we saying that they took full salary as ministers, signed for it, and also went and signed for full salary as sitting members of Parliament,
or paid into the account,
or whatever it is, they've taken it, if that is the conclusion of it, or they were given the top up? Were they given the top up, or they took full salary? If it is 1,000 for MP, 1,500 for ministers, they got 2,500, or they strike out the difference and add it to. These are the issues that we are looking at the conclusion of the investigations, how it's going to lead to. Initially, you remember when the issue started, and you know some of these issues, the tendency for people to even begin calling alleged people criminals through the various social media and so on is bad. Sometimes the issues have not even been fully investigated, and you don't even know your stand, and yet political opponents they begin to use words like you're a thief, you have stolen, on radio and on social media.
But Honorable, if you were being paid salary, or you were taking monies which you suspected, you had reasonable cause to suspect that it was double salary, it amounted to double salary,
yeah,
and you didn't disclose it, and that was found.
That's, you know, you're a lawyer. These are allegations, and until you are found guilty, you
don't let us even begin to double around law.
Yes.
Don't let us begin.
These are currently allegations.
I'm saying that. I understand that. I don't want people to begin to innocent until proven guilty and all that. I'm saying that. But you know that you were a member of parliament, you became a minister, paid as a minister, you took it, and money runs into your account as a member of parliament. Let us assume that you did not tell, assuming that that was the case, and you never informed the accountant general. You never told anybody.
How can we assume that? Why can we assume that when those who have been accused have denied the allegation, and we
are being hypothetical here.
You cannot be.
No, I'm just being, because I don't even want to make references to them.
Yes, but how can that be if we've seen several instances where allegations are made against people, and at the end of the day the investigation.
So let me ask you, that's why I asked you what category were these, because you give me a different scenario.
And I gave you the scenario.
So what category would these people be invited? Is it that they were paid as members?
I think that question would best ask the CID, because even those who were invited are the CID, who were the complainants, and they said they were not going to release the name of the complainant. And I began by saying, how come that the Auditor General, it skipped him? It skipped the Auditor General as an institution to have unearthing, say double payment of salaries to individuals, not one, not two, but currently the numbers that we are telling us over 40. When the Auditor General are able to unearth ghost names, and even one CD, when you take it, they're able to take it. Then you're asking me those questions for me to. I think we better direct the question to the CID and to the Auditor General. How come they failed this time, the people of this country? You understand? And the issue too is that I was wondering at the beginning, normally when salaries are prepared, before even it is paid into your account, there's pre-auditing at the various levels of approval. They go through the various levels for the Minister of Finance to Controller and Accountant. How come that you will pay salary to Kwame Waja as a minister, and the same Kwame Waja as an MP, and you are not checking it? You don't think that
Kwame Waja does not complain?
But Kwame Waja too does not complain, and Kwame Waja too probably would have not even taken due cognizance of what is happening to his salary.
Maybe the accounting general also didn't take cognizance of the fact. No. So somebody had a responsibility to complain.
No. I know that there are a lot of our MPs who do not even check what comes into their accounts. There are a lot of them like that. Now, unlike you and I, when the coin drops, we'll go and check, looking at our financial status. There are a lot of them, even from the beginning, they might not, even some of them, how the ex-gratia was paid, they never checked.
Okay.
You understand? So some of these things can come as a result of the number of payment that comes into your account.
Right.
And you might not necessarily even know that it is coming from the same source. Until due diligence is done now, then you go back and look, let me take a minute. Then you begin yourself to even examine what has happened to your account and say, yes, this was what happened.
I understand that. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt here. Amma, I would have come to you directly, but I want you to hear both sides of the coin, and then we'll be able to make a decision. Honorable, you're welcome.
Thank you.
How's Atebubu and Amanting?
Atebubu is doing well.
And all those places?
Everything is fine.
I'm sure they say we're going to get good yams, isn't it?
Very well.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, under what circumstances do you think that somebody in government will be paid double salary?
Kwame, let me use this opportunity to pay regards to my constituents, and then of course to His Excellency the President of the Republic and his economic management team. This issue, we've just had a communique from the leadership of Parliament that it's a case that is under investigation, and Parliament as a body is also has set up 2-member committee to also do checks on as and why and how. So our positions are tight a little bit, but for the sake of our viewers, we cannot restrict our comments because we are here already. But there are many questions to ask, as you did. Like, is it a case that people were receiving money not once? I would agree with my honorable member at a point, to some point, because you get money for once. For me, it could even happen to me, maybe depending on the strength of the account, you understand. But where you've taken money 1, 2, 3, as per the speculation that some has been regular for some time, and you say you did not take notice of it, it will be quite surprising. And then if you had seen or gotten information about it, what did you do? Because you are not an ordinary worker, you are in a legislative personality, and some of these things ought to have been taken good care of. So by the caution, I will restrict myself a little bit. But Honorable was talking about, couldn't they have had any other way to handle it? Yes, it does exist, because in our service conditions, not as parliamentarians and in Ghana, but I would think that minority also rushed into having a press conference, because by that you put it at public domain, and what do you expect the public to do? They'll scrutinize it and prejudice left, right, center. At least you have made a statement on it, and hey, who should protect it? You understand? And besides, we are all Ghanaians. All these things are not taken, the monies are not taken in good faith, as I would also speculate. And we need to deal with it as people, because at the end of it, it's taxpayers' burden, and it should not be like that. But going forward, what do we do? Should we establish, we as Ghanaians, establish that they clearly took the money? What do we do? You know, what do we do? Because leadership, as they say, is by example. If anybody will flatter with these things, it should not be a member of parliament. But I would not, of course, not prejudicing, but I agree that this money would be coming to your accounts frequently, and you will not know. No matter how rich you are, you should be responsible to your income. And I believe on that aspect, if it's established clearly that it's true, then we will have a lot of questions to ask.
So can we find instances within which some of these monies can be paid as double? I want instances. I just want to find out, how can the accountant general pay double salaries to members of parliament?
It should not be by the structure that persists. But you see, it's better we wait. But some of the things that are coming out, it could be speculative, that people took the money with different signatory, with that. So I would still reason with the parliament, the leadership, for us to wait and get the facts clear. Is it
that that's an instance where sometimes somebody will see 70,000 cedis in his accounts, 50,000 in his accounts? You know, some workers will tell you that once in a while they see things like that, and quickly the banks are able to detect it, because they go through the accounts and they're able to detect. Is this because I haven't been exposed to some of these things before? So when this thing happened, I started asking myself serious questions. Is it the negligence of the accountant general? Is it that, you know, some documentations were sent doubly into the system that brought out this? I'm wondering. I
had experienced it before, not through the government sector, as a private person. I once received money into my accounts. That was long ago, but I think I did not notice it until the bank prompted me. When I went back to check, we did a reconciliation, I realized it was true. But that was once, and it was dependent on the strength of the accounts at the time. You understand? So, and I hadn't done my reconciliation, because private enterprise, sometimes we wait at the end of the year and stuff like that. And I'm sure it could have even escaped me totally. You understand? But when they prompted me, they indicated that when we check and everything, okay, fine. Because, and even at the time, I was like, doing some mind calculation. I said, what is it? But I have shops and I run businesses. Every shop manager pays into my account every morning. Sometimes you not take notice because of the frequency of them and stuff. But I could sense that I don't have this much, but I didn't take notice.
Well,
so if it's once, I could side with it. But my brother,
Professor Jidono is saying that we should take a historical perspective of this by going back pre-Kufuor era to investigate this. You think that there's a need for us to do a thing like that?
There is.
Why do you think there's a need for us to do that?
Taxpayers' money always ought
so
to
if you
be
find it, so what?
Why not? We take the money, we find a way, we punish them. We put, because you see, until we become responsible, this is the time that we have a government that is propagating that we should try as people and get our independence fully from being beggars all around the world. It's a responsible statement that we must all put politics aside and follow it. So why not? We should set deterrents, because getting by political expediency, if you're able to get an opportunity to serve this nation, it should makes you the best person in the out of the whole lot. You understand? So it's an opportunity. So you need to be accountable. So if we should dig down, why not? I mean, we should do it.
Just before my council, you know, when I became a member of parliament, before then I was a teacher, and there's always a tendency that your salary will keep coming when you're even sworn in. Immediately I was notified and I stopped it. And it does happen to a lot of people. You are in another job, you take up a new appointment, and your salary keep coming. And again, I did my service as a safe former, and I got employed with SAGA as an investigator. Later I went to the university. I still wanted to register to have my university service certificate. And you know, the service allowance, it takes time before it comes. And about 8 months or so, it came like that, boom. But when I saw it, I said I should pay it back to chest. You understand? Because it would have constituted me taking allowance and still taking salary as an investigator with SAGA and so on. And I made them to pay it back to chest. Just as when I came to Parliament, I made them to stop my salary as a teacher. If we go further, it would even go just beyond members who are cabinet and members who were who double as MPs. It could even be that some teachers who became MPs or some public servants who became MPs continue to receive their salaries
for a
long time. So there's the need for us to go to the history, dig it out, and then nip it in the bud, then find a solution to where members come to Parliament and they are paid on account.
Right. Okay.
So that it will stop all this double payment.
I'm a little...
You've rested for some time. So
yes, I have, and I'm a little confused sitting here right now. I mean, when the story broke, my initial thought was that it had to do with this overlapping of people playing double roles in the executive and in the legislature. That was my first, thoughts on the matter. And so I thought that people were being paid first as government ministers and also being paid as MPs, which was what was causing this. Yes, that's what I thought. And then I had opportunity on Wednesday to listen to two MPs, one from the NPP, one from the NDs, and both of them, it happens once in a blue moon. Both of them agreeing that sometimes they don't even know their salary, they don't know the exact amount, and because they sit on different committees, you might receive money in your account for maybe some allowance or something, which is not perhaps your salary. And so both of them, like I'm saying, happens in the blue moon, were in agreement that it's possible to receive your salary and not know that it's your salary. Now, sitting here, again, sandwiched between two honorable members, I'm again surprised that this argument has not come up. Because if indeed it's the truth that you get your salary as an MP and you don't know that this is my salary, both of them said they did not know the exact amount, the exact figure, their salary, they didn't know, And so I'm a little, so if that is the case, that parliamentarians don't know exactly how much their salary is.
That is not the case.
That is not the case.
We have a pay slip. Okay, it's just that because of busy schedules, but the salary itself is declared as part of your contract, so you must know.
Do you understand my confusion now? So right now, as I said here, I'm totally confused because then I'm having different...
No, the issue is this, don't get confused. You know what you say. If, for instance, the previous parliament they were taking, assuming they were taking 8,000. The new parliament will continue with the 8,000. And until the new salaries of the 8,000 is determined, they'll be on the 8,000. So you know that you came and met 8,000 and you are taking 8,000 Ghana cedis. Then until the president set out the presidential commission to determine the emoluments of the Article 71 people, you continue to know that you are taking.
The later you pay the difference.
The later you pay the difference. They strike out and give you the arrears. Then you will then be on the new salary. The next term of members of parliament who come will continue to be on their salary scale until it is the same. That is how it is.
But you'll be known.
You see,
that is what I'm saying, that you know that for now you'll be taking an amount of, let's take it, 1,000 Ghana.
So you see,
until the new one is given, you will not know that probably the 1,000 has gone to 2,000. It is after that, then you will not know your real salary, but you will know that you are taking 1,000 Ghana for now until it is done. That is what is done.
You see, so
I don't think you've gotten your new salaries.
That for me now, as I sit here, is then I begin to ask the question that our members of parliament must be really rich. You know, they say that it is the poor people who, like Honorable said before, who are particular about their salaries and who know, who come. I've worked in the bank before. You know, you have people walk into the bank and argue with you about 3 cedis. You deducted 3 cedis from my account for service charge. What was it about? You know, and so if you have a whole group of people, you know, and they don't even know how much their salary is, and our members of parliament must be very, 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 very rich. But that is beside the point. That is beside the point. Let me go back to my main issue. Let me go back to my main issue. So then, this issue of the structure, you know, that separation of powers and that overlapping of the legislature and the executive, perhaps we should take a second look at it. You know, I go back to my first point. Is it perhaps what is causing this issue of double salary? Because I understand that by our constitution, what the working document that we are working with, it is important, it is necessary for executive members to be taken from the legislature. That is how we want to run it. I think of it, you know, the difficulties with checks and balance and all of that. But
it's a hybrid between American and British.
Yes, we are told that is how we are going. If that is how we want to go, then perhaps let's streamline, you know, some of these little issues in terms of finances and all of that, so we don't run into problems. That's just one. My second issue is with accountants, you know, the Accountant General's office. Exactly. The ball stops there. You pay the money into somebody's account. I mean, obviously, these MPs did not in any way go and take any money by themselves. They were sitting in their corner, sitting in there somewhere, literal translation, and the money was paid into their accounts, you know. And so I'm a little confused if you turn around and confuse them of stealing. I'm a little confused.
That is different. When you see someone sign to collect money from this point and sign to collect money from other.
Exactly what I was coming to.
So I think that the system will sieve out people and put them into different models, and we'll see which of them we can have negligence or those who are intentionally receiving.
That's why I started by saying that sitting here I'm a little confused, because if the issue then is about people signing double, then obviously there's criminal intent here. Intent being the operational word.
Knowing.
Yes.
Knowingly.
Intent. You should have the intention to defraud somebody of something that doesn't belong to you permanently. So obviously then there's a criminal angle to this whole conversation. However, the way it was being discussed before was just a situation of sitting or somewhere, somebody paying money into your account. That obviously doesn't have a criminal intent to constitute this crime of stealing. Whichever way, I'm also looking at the perception, you know, public perception and all of that surrounding all of this. Let's rewind, go back a bit. When we had this parliamentary bribery scandal, I think it was right here that I said and I spoke about the fact that perception is a very necessary in governance. It is necessary for us as citizens to respect our institutions and respect the people who operate these institutions. And so I should look to my legislator as a sanctimonious human being, more or less, who is incapable of crime. Because if the person making the law himself is corrupt, how about the rest of us who are going to just take in the laws and act by the laws. If you, the person making the laws, you are corrupt. And so the parliamentary bribery scandal at the time for me was more than the issues, was more than the parties. It was also about perception, just perception in itself, and what it does to the psyche of all of us living in the country. You don't want a situation where people become, or people have apathy, you know, where our attitude to governance and everything related to governance is, well, leave them, these people, you know, first of all, they are mismanaging our countries. We don't like what they are doing with our countries. And then you find out again that they are corrupt, you know. And so this issue of perception becomes key in this instance for me, the way we manage it. I'm not saying let's cover wrongdoing by parliamentarians. I'm saying that before you come out to accuse a parliamentarian of being a thief, which is what this is, make sure that what you are saying is the truth. Because yes, we want to fight corruption. Absolutely, we want to fight corruption. But at the same time, we don't want to create the wrong impressions. It has dire, direct consequences for our nation building.
All right, thank you very much. I want to move on to the next topic, which has got to do with the Commonwealth Summits in the UK, which is being attended by heads of states from all Commonwealth countries. And in addition to what our president has said, we also want to look at the fact that goods labeled in foreign languages